I would say I'm more of a rational person. I rarely express my feeling in my works, but then that work really touched me.
So today's visit is in the studio of Silvester Mok. Hello.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me here today.
Welcome to Hong Kong. I hope you have a very nice trip here.
It's been wonderful. Yes, yes, definitely. Recommend.
Yeah, that's a little rare because, I mean, most people find that Hong Kong is too busy, too commercial. But still, I think there are a lot of gems, hidden gems inside industrial buildings or in museums. There's still a lot of things to see, also in the nature.
It is busy, especially compared to Finland. But I've been once to New York, and I have to say it was a lot like faster paced there.
Really?
I think people here are kind of encouraged to not be too fast. So I find that very good.
So we are at least trying to not be so fast paced.
Yeah, I mean, in the metro there are people with signs that like "Don't run, don't rush," kind of thing.
That's true. In the MTR, they now encourage people not to walk on the escalators. So just stand there.
Oh.
And that has caused many controversy.
That might be a bit extreme.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because usually you should be standing on one side and walking on another side. Yeah. But that's how they encourage people to be more slower and safer, maybe.
Yeah, I guess if there are two big crowds, there could be some bumping into each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's also I've only once been to Seoul for a few days, so this is my other first experience of Asia. So for me, it's really interesting, fascinating, everything.
So what have you visited? The nature and...
Nature, I didn't have so much time for.
Oh.
I went to a park yesterday.
Okay. Inside the city?
Yeah, in Victoria Park.
Okay, that's a nice place. I mean, for me, I live on the New Territory side of Hong Kong, which is a little further from the city. We have a very nice river here, some small parks, not as big as Victoria Park, but still, it's really nice to have a walk next to the river, along the river. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to see a farm tomorrow. Farm. Yeah, so it's going to be somewhere up a bit more up north.
Oh wow! What do they farm? Because they might be specialized in some kind of crops.
I'm not sure.
But someone, you have a tour guide. You have a.
Yeah. Lee's coming with us.
Who?
Lee.
Oh, I see. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that will be probably my nature.
Yeah, because more and more teenagers or younger people started to farm in Hong Kong.
Interesting.
Because I mean, for our previous generation, they wanted to earn money. They wanted to go to work in the city. But eventually, our generation, people have been thinking differently. So people might want to develop a sustainable city. Not only commercial, but also we might need our own farms. So one of my friends who has turned to a farming lifestyle. He started his own farm with his friend, and they were planting different crops, vegetables. So I get fresh vegetables from time to time.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of fresh vegetables here in the markets also. But
yeah.
Of course, if it's coming from somebody you know, it's even better.
So I mean, that's also reflected how our generation is exploring different lifestyles, like farming or artist lifestyle.
There are a lot of artists. I mean, there must be. There's a lot of people generally, so probably also a lot of artists.
Yes, I would say so. We have 3 main art institutes for fine art or crafts. So it could be painting, it could be ceramics, photography, and I am from one of the three institutions from Hong Kong Art School, and
you do ceramics.
Yes, and I major in ceramics. I explore mostly 3D printing ceramics.
Which is something pretty rare. Not many people do that. It's. I feel like
in Hong Kong, it's still rather new. In the Europe, in Estonia, I think, there is a program for that.
Really?
Yes.
Ooh.
There's an institution. They develop a program for 3D printing with ceramics. So
I had to come to Hong Kong to learn something about Estonia, which is right next to Finland.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. This is just great.
Yes. I mean, also in the UK, there are more and more artists working with it. In the past, I would say it's more considered as one aspect of ceramics art or one tool for ceramics art. But the more I work with it, the more I think that it should be categorized as a unique craft, like on its own. It's on its own because it has its own language, it has its own beauty, its own way of expression. So I think it's although it's using ceramics as the medium, but also it's a new form of art, I would say.
I have one episode with another artist who was doing 3D printed ceramics from Finland.
Okay. What is their thought on this?
We were talking more about generally digital fabrication in art, I think. But you should watch that one and see what he says.
I should. So
it was a very interesting conversation.
So it's about
Satu Minna Suorajärvi is her name.
Okay.
I will send you a link.
So it's about adapting digital fabrication tools to ceramics art.
Yes, and then maybe because she also does some public art, which is in metal, so it's not only 3D printed ceramics that you're doing only 3D printed ceramics. Are you working with other types of ceramics?
Well, I mean, I started my program, my fine art program, with love for hand-built ceramics. I love to handmade stuff because I think that compared to 3D modeling in the computer, you can feel this warmth or this texture of the ceramics object, which is so different because it's more tangible. It's more it's about this touch that I find very valuable. So that's why I started doing ceramics. Before ceramics, I was doing 3D modeling, and then I started ceramics, and then I thought of ways to combine these both. So it was a rather long journey to find what I really like, but I mean I am happy that I've found a way to combine these both techniques or interests of mine. With the help of the machine, you can actually achieve much more details. And also, there's this one question that I've thought about quite a lot, is whether we are using the machine in a right way. So when I first started, I was using the machine to build very simple geometrical forms, and some feedbacks that I got was that if you can make that by hand, why are you using the 3D printer to print it? So I was thinking, am I really restricted to print very intricate, very detailed forms? Am I only allowed to do that? Are we using the machine only to print very detailed form that human hand cannot do? But I mean, I still don't have an answer for that. But I started to explore both ways. So one side is about how detailed the machine can go. I try to print some fractals, mathematical patterns. that is very detailed, very fine to test the limit of the machine. On the other hand, I also just work on my own artistic expression. So I would say it's a two-way approach.
I mean, the machine is your tool, so you can do whatever you want with it anyway in the end.
But
so yeah.
There's this feedback that I kept thinking was whether why are you using the machine if you can already do it by hand? You should be doing something that your hand cannot do. So well, I'm still looking for an answer to that question.
I mean, the machine definitely would make it different, even if it's a simple shape. I don't think your hand will be so uniform, and if you try to imitate those layers of the print anyway. So, but, yeah.
So maybe it's about looking for the uniqueness of the machine. Say it can print very rounded objects or organic forms, but in a very uniform way. So I spend a lot of time trying to understand different language or different expression that printer can create.
Yeah, and that's part of the beauty of this process, that you get to test so many different approaches to the material. Now, since we are here, let's maybe first talk about the studio a little bit. You said you don't have that big of a studio, but
yes.
I would say it's one of the bigger ones that I've seen.
Really? Comparatively? I thought Yuko has a very huge studio.
How big is this one?
The construction is 1,000 feet, but then so we have two meters. So one is bigger. They claim it's 1,000, but then after deducting the walls, the thickness of the walls, it leaves you only 800 feet, I think, square feet.
Again, I would have to recalculate that in square meters, but sure, I will probably write it down.
So that is 90 square meters, I think.
Yeah, it's a pretty good size. How long have you been here?
The space was started. I moved here 1.5 years ago. Before I was on the mountain. We had a larger studio, like way further from the station. So now we're 5 minutes from the station.
That's why you think it's small, because you are actually larger.
Yes, because I was working with bigger and bigger objects, sculptures, 3D printed mostly. So I mean a larger space would be more convenience. But still, for now, it's sufficient.
And you are alone here, you don't share it with other people?
Yes, currently it is. And which is a little problematic because the rent, in Hong Kong is not cheap. And I'm going to school. I have to pay tuition. I have to pay for the studio, and it's not really going that well. So I'm looking for ways to adjust.
But there is plenty of space for you to get another artist here.
That's true. So I was asking whether there are anyone interested. I was actually sharing the studio, my older studio, with a florist.
Florist?
Yes.
Whoa.
So it was quite different, right? Because then we would have ceramics art, and then the florist would work with a ceramics piece to create a bouquet or floral arrangements. So,
wow.
Yeah, I kind of missed it, if you ask me.
It must have been a very fresh air there with all the flowers, maybe.
Yeah. Still very dusty.
Yeah, I wonder how those plants really were feeling there with all the dust coming to them.
Yeah, so I mean, it could be a little problematic if you're sharing a studio with a non-ceramics artist, but then it was also interesting because there are a lot of collaborations that could that could happen in the space.
Yeah.
So, but then later on, she had to go to a full-time job. She turned to a full-time job after 10 years in in floral arrangement, because it's also tough in Hong Kong.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot.
I wonder whether it's different from maybe in Finland, because here as an artist we suffer from more pressure or stress mostly because of the space, but then there can also be other living expenses.
I mean, this is kind of universal artistic destiny in a way.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little bit less stressful in Finland because you still have some sort of a social security net. If you're in a really bad situation, there's still some support that you could get. But of course, it's not easy to live and pay rent to studio and focus on your art. Yeah, I would ask otherwise a bit later, but since we're on this, like, how do you manage with that?
Does studio matter?
Well, just like to keep being an artist and pay your bills and all that.
Well, I mean, before I started my study, so I'm currently studying a PhD in Sydney University of Hong Kong. I work on 3D printing with ceramics, so that's also my research, my thesis proposal, and it make my life much tougher, because then I will have to allocate more time to my study rather than teaching here, because in the past I could teach here say 5 times per week. That would ensure a better income. Now I have to put more time to study, and it really made it tougher. So this year I'm experiencing my worst financial state, but luckily I still get some commission, some rather big commission later the end of this year. So that kind of saved me. Sometimes, very unfortunately, it's usually quite passive. You have to wait for invitations to exhibitions or commission work, because those are the things that you cannot ask for. But still, what I've been trying also this year is to apply for more international competitions and our work. So I was collaborating with a friend. He is a glaze sculptor, and we have combined very organic glaze form with my very detailed, very uniformed, fractal shaped objects. So it's showing two sides of ceramics, and this collaboration is going quite well, and we have been selected to a couple international competitions, which is good. So I mean, in a tough situation like this, what we can do is to try every opportunity, try to say equip yourself at the moment, and then try to get more exposure as you can, and wait for the right chance to come, and then you can.
Aren't there like open calls for events here?
In Hong Kong, unfortunately, we don't have any biennial show for ceramics. It's very.
But like just regular galleries, or do they only invite people?
Some of them do open calls, but then you'll have to pay for a certain fee to be showing your works, which is not that ideal, because for ceramics art, it's also not easy to sell. nowadays.
Really?
Yes.
I would
compared-
assume that ceramic art is actually easier than other forms.
For ceramics objects, if it's 3D, it's usually harder because people will have to store it.
Oh,
It's always about the space issue in Hong Kong.
that's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, paintings would otherwise do better. in
Yeah,
the
painting is the
local-
classic, yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm just comparing to video, which is
I see.
which
I
is
see.
even less like likely to be sold.
Yeah.
So yeah. Because in Finland, the majority, I feel like, from the exhibitions are based on open calls. But then there is the fee,
Yeah.
the rent you have to pay for the space.
Yeah. I mean, here we do have both, but currently I'm aiming for those by invitation mostly. Meanwhile, I do get some invitations, so I want to take the chances, utilize these chances
Yeah.
to showcase my works. Yeah, while submitting our work to competitions.
So your PhD is not funded.
It's not funded. Surely, it's another sad story. But yeah, I wanted to still do it because I think it's the right time, I would say. I know it would be tough, but I really wanted to do it now, right now. So it's going to be 3-4 years, but I will find a way. I mean,
So have you just started it recently? Or?
it's my first year.
Let me bring you back to before you had established all of this that it is right now, like when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Did you think you would be an artist?
I actually never thought of that. It was never in one of my dream or my goal in life.
And how did it happen then?
Well, so everything started. So you also asked me of my inspiration, right? Can I talk about that now?
For what?
Like some role models or artists that inspired me. Am I allowed to talk about it now?
Sure. I mean, that is usually the last thing I talk about.
Oh, okay.
We are turning it a bit upside down, but it's okay.
I'll
it's
keep
okay.
the name hidden for now. I'll keep
No,
the
no,
name
no.
hidden.
It's okay. Let's just.
Okay. So in the past, as I said, I was working with 3D modeling. So that has been my what I liked, working with computers. Since I was a kid, I like to play games on the computer. Also, just generally using the computer to assist my works. So that has been my whole life. I mean, I did have a childhood where we played in the playground, in the park, with no computer at all. But then since the introduction of computer and smartphone,
That's over.
yeah,
That era is gone.
kind of, yeah. But then I have explored this whole new world, I would say, and the creative process in 3D modeling is so different from molding a clay, from hand building. So I was very interested in that in the beginning. So I thought of using that or working toward that as my future career, as a 3D modeling artist or
In gaming.
Yes. So that's the initial thought till I was 20. Yeah. So what happened was I went to this exhibition, saw a work of a local artist who was a ceramics artist. Her works were clouds made with paper clay, fired, hanging on top of the museum. Very beautiful, beautifully hung. Feel so soft, very light, but then you would know that they are actually ceramics. It should weigh quite a lot. And I was amazed at that moment of the material by its property, by the possibilities of it, because I was really touched by that work. I would say I'm more of a rational person. I rarely express my feeling in my works, but then that work really touched me. I think it was partially the material, partially because the cloud, the paper clay, was letters written by the artist's mom. So it was her mom's handwritten letters mixed with clay and then fired. So it's about erasing the memories, or yeah. So it was a really beautiful work, and that has, I think, put a seed. It has, yeah. So lay a seed in my heart, and I didn't start ceramics right away. I studied 3D modeling first, and then when I was picking a major for my uni, I started to think, do I really want to work with a computer throughout my life? It's very it feels very cold, very distanced. You are not touching the object at all. Even if you're using VR or AR, you're seeing the object on your hands, but it doesn't give you that same feeling, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're developing haptic feedbacks. Maybe that could feel a little more realistic one day, but still, this idea of touching a real object, I think it's in our genes, I would say.
Inevitably, since we are physical beings.
Yes, it just feels so different, right? I'm sorry, but in videos, it could also be one obstacle or one difficulties, right? Because it's about visual, but you can't. There's some expressions that you can only deliver by a tangible object. I would say it has its very own value.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then so I thought about that, and I thought I want to work with some real objects. I'm not completely abandoning the computer part. It's still crucial to my life, but still, I want to develop say crafts, a handcraft skill, like a certain kind of skills. And then I also want to learn how to deal with physical objects. So that I started studying ceramics in uni. And then I immediately fell in love with it. It's really amazing. When you're throwing, when you're hand building, the ideas in your mind, your sketches get turned into 3D. The feeling is the best, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I from probably all people I've spoken with that are doing something with ceramics, it's like you just completely in love with it. But of course, that's why you keep doing it. Otherwise, it could be pretty difficult material to work with sometimes.
Yeah, it's very dirty, very dusty, very annoying.
Heavy, it breaks.
Yeah, you put it in the kiln, happily waiting for the result, and then, why does it not look like what I thought? So there are always surprises, disappointments, yeah. And then I still, when I was studying, I still didn't think about becoming an artist. I thought it's not that realistic or say sustainable, because I always wanted a more stable job, or half stable at least. So I thought of becoming a pottery tutor, which is a little more stable. And I didn't really think about my own creation until my graduation. So after graduating, my work was selected to a joint school exhibition. So they would select some graduates from each school, and then they would display every work in a bigger venue. And then I got an award very, very unexpectedly. And that at that point, I think I was pretty happy about it. I was really,
You think?
yeah, I was quite happy because I never expected that. Everything just happened one after another. So after the school exhibition, there was this joint school exhibition, and then after the award, they gave me a solo exhibition, and just exhibitions come one after another. And I started to think, this is quite interesting, the way of the idea of showing your work in the studio to the public, and allowing people to giving you feedback on your work. Conversations were introduced to the, and then I find this very enjoyable, I would say.
I think that this initial validation, it's a form of validation that yes, you can do this. It's very important that you actually believe yourself that you can do this, and
Yes.
that keeps you moving forward.
Yes, I would say that was that was what started it all. So this sense of validation, although it could also lead to some later imposter syndrome, but then still it kept me moving. It encouraged me to start working more on my own creations and continued my creations.
I think the imposter syndrome is something that you could have in pretty much every field, whatever you do.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't think you can escape that.
Yeah. But it's more about how you rescue yourself from that, how you pull yourself up from a insecurity or a sense of like distrusting yourself. Yeah.
From what I have gathered, and from my own experience, I think that those periods are always going to come. It's just that I guess you have to believe that it will pass and that it will be better.
Yeah.
And you know, if you have that passion for doing it, that's what's helping.
Yeah, I mean, for now, I have reasons to do it. I think these reasons really back me up because I want to focus on the investigating how far this machine can go. So it's about understanding the machine more, understanding the material more, and then from there I can collaborate with the machine. It's not just about pressing a button and the printer will print everything for you, like printing an A4 paper. But then there's also this process of collaborating with the machine, which I find very worth understanding and practicing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I think I've also mentioned before. I mean, I don't know if I've said it on the podcast, or definitely I've been thinking about that. That when you work with some sort of machine, it's always a sort of a collaboration, even though it's a tool and all that. But
yeah,
it can give you different results depending.
So I would say in the past, when pottery's wheel were first introduced to the ceramics community, it was also considered as a tool. Yeah, it's a little more contribution of the human because it would take 50% of the human effort and 50% of the machine effort. It would keep spinning, and the human has to practice a lot to get it right. And a 3D printer, it's doing a little more than what a pottery's wheel is doing, but then the human would also have to practice and understand what it's doing, what it's capable of, or what its limitation is.
Yeah, I probably could share that for this exhibition now that is in Pointsman Art Space. You were the one who 3D printed my ceramic work for that, and it was a process until you get something that would stand on itself and not collapse.
Yeah.
So yeah. It was also on my part to make the file so that it could work, but then also on your part, and yeah, until the machine did it properly.
Yeah,
So,
it's not easy of this this process of turning reality into a digital format, and then from the digital format we translate it back to the reality, right?
Yeah.
It requires a huge understanding of the physical world, the computer language, and then also the materials properties.
And of course, it's never the same, and but it doesn't have to be as well. Yeah. So, what are you doing right now?
So currently, I have finished some exhibitions, which is good because I can then start preparing for my Christmas holiday. But then, 2 to 3 days ago, I received a call. There's this other commission project coming up, so I still have to work on it a little. It's more. It's not ceramics. It's resin 3D printing.
Ooh.
So I would also work with factories to produce larger prints for wall art or larger sculptures. So that's something that I am exploring now, because I would say ceramics could be too fragile or too heavy to be hung on the wall. So people would usually pick other materials for easier fabrication. So it's also using the right material for the right work, I would say.
Yeah. Ceramics would last longer though,
Yeah, that's true.
if you don't break it.
That's true.
And I have once done a little bit of resin 3D printing, and I can warn you that it gets. It depends on probably on the color that you use, but mine was supposed to be transparent, and within a couple of years, it became very yellow.
Yes.
So that's a bit of a bummer there.
That's a huge problem of resin. But if you have to, this is getting technical. you have to apply UV paint and some paint to prevent it from getting yellow. But yellowing is
I thought only the UV
flaw.
light for drying would be enough, but no.
Yeah, it's a flaw of the material, I would say, or the limit of the material, I would say. Yeah, but it's also, it gives you this very fine detail, right?
Yes.
If you use
Ceramics would never give you that
Yeah.
that much of detail.
Yeah, because of it has to be strong enough, the ceramics material. So, I mean, as the technology advances, maybe someday there will be a very fine 3D printing.
We'll see.
Yeah, so that's what I am currently working on. Also focusing on my study, because I have to finalize my project's title. I have to submit a proposal for my study.
Yeah, what is your PhD about?
So it's about human and machines collaboration. So mostly focused on ceramics 3D printing. And I would develop some tools. That would be the first phase. I would develop tools allowing me to collaborate with the machine real time. So I can change the geometry, or I can add something onto the geometry while it's printing, while the thing is being printed.
Ooh.
So it's real time. And then on the second phase, it would be about understanding this process, whether how can we define it as a new kind of craft. This kind of human AI or human machine collaboration with ceramics 3D printing. How is it redefining craft? So that would be the whole proposal. It's from a more academic perspective, I would say.
Well, it's normal if you do a PhD that
Yes.
it would be an academic perspective.
Yes.
But it sounds really interesting. Like, yeah.
Because the tools, if I develop them, then I can actually use them for my art practice as well. So I would say they help each other. They would intersect at certain points, but they are not the same thing. So I'm not presenting my fractal prints as my PhD, but then I want to understand more about the craft and perhaps write more about it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I am busy working on.
You are very deeply into the technical part of things. I can see how you're covered on that front for sure.
Yeah.
What are some themes in your work? Otherwise,
So in my work, as I said, I am a more or less very rational person. So I rarely put my expression or emotions into my works. At the very beginning, in my uni, it was about form explorations. So I would put forms together. They would rely on each other. They would squeeze onto each other. Some of them will break. So it's about the interaction between objects at first. And then as I go further into 3D printing, I started using interlocking mechanisms. So it's also about relationship between objects, so how they would interlock, how they would stack onto each other, or how they would, interlocking was one of the main themes. And then later on, it's about, I started to adopt natural objects, found objects in nature into the work. So there was this coral objects, because I found that they resemble the 3D printed structure a little bit, or say the 3D printed structure resemble coral or learned from the coral, and I find that really interesting because as you go deeper and deeper in technology, the more detail you print, you will find that it looks closer to a found object in the nature. So you're trying to print some very detailed, very delicate lines, and you will find that, oh, what does this resemble? A coral that lies on a local beach. So it's about understanding that both ends actually meet. And learning from nature. So we are also working with crystals. So I want to, because the forming of crystal is about growing, right? And 3D printing is also on a similar technique, a similar visual at least. So it would be stacked one layer by one layer, and then some part will actually shift. So it's also quite technical, but then it also has this relationship with the nature that I really like about, and I want to dig deeper into that. So yeah, it's very rational. It's very much about investigating on the machine's capabilities, not really related to my own story, but it's about something I observe, something that I'm interested in. So it's always objects that I personally like. Yeah, but I mean, not necessarily something that I feel I of my own. They don't have to be my coral or something that I possess. Something that has a deep relationship with me. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be necessarily. And you mentioned that you did some collaborations with these other artists. Do you often do collaborations, or how do you feel about collaborating with others?
So I have tried a couple of times collaborating with artists. There were of course also commission, but commission is
it's not exactly that.
Yeah, it's usually about assisting them in manufacturing the object. Collaborating, on the other hand, I find it quite interesting, but you have to really find the right person to collaborate. Because, for example, this time I'm collaborating with a glaze artist, so my friend. We are both using ceramics, so our part can actually merge together in a very coherent way, very nicely joined together. But his work is mostly about the uncontrollable side of ceramics. It's very hard to control because glaze, like glass, they would melt in the kiln in a very unexpected way. So he was exploring the uncontrollable side. And for mine, I'm trying to gain control with the precision of the machine and to create very intricate structures. So I would say this contrast between our works.
They complement each other's work somehow.
Yes, yes. So I find it really beautiful, I would say, because his part actually helped my part to become more complete. And my form actually helped his to become more complete. So we both assisted each other's creation in a way that is pushing ceramics art forward, I would say, because the combination of glaze sculpture and 3D printed ceramics is it's a rather new combination, I would say. So I pretty much enjoyed this collaboration with him.
When you say glaze sculpture,
You're wondering what it is.
a bit.
Should I bring you a piece of our work? I'll show you later.
We can record it later.
Yeah,
Also,
I'll show you later.
But is it only with working with glazes? Like,
So-
how does that work? Like, because they would, as you said, they melt.
So glaze is actually
Partly glass.
sorry. Glaze also
Somewhat.
okay, again. Glaze actually consists of glass material, feldspar. So they would melt in the kiln, but if you put a lot of glaze powder and you use a container to contain it, then it would melt according to the shape.
Yeah, so
that's
kind
how,
of molding.
Yeah, that's how glass artists work.
Yeah.
And we use a similar technique. We would put both our objects into the kiln with some kind of containment, and then we would put glaze material on the places that we want, and then after firing, we remove the containment. We shape the glaze a little bit so that they doesn't have this molded shape.
Yeah.
Instead, it's more organic.
Right.
So it's about understanding the material, understanding what glaze to use that is less runny, a little more. It will stay in the form a little bit more.
Yeah, and I guess you don't fire it at extremely high temperatures, so it doesn't melt too much.
That's not true.
Uh-huh.
We actually fire to quite high temperature because
Okay.
that's true because it would make it more running. But then some effects can only be achieved in very high temperature. So usually we have to fire a couple of times. First time you fire it up to 1,300 degrees or 1,260, and then second time you fire it to lower, and each time you add more glaze to it. Different type of glass. So it would have a lot of layers.
Right. Well,
It's always getting very technical, I know.
a little bit, yes. Okay, let's then move on to other stuff that is not technical. How about generally? I'm not sure if I asked the others this, but like, what is the situation about artist community here, or generally, like, what is your opinion on like, do you need this communication with other artists, or you probably have some sort of a version of that in the university, but
Yeah.
how about outside of it?
So I would say it's kind of divided, or they're linked in some way. They're also connected in some way. So there will be commercial galleries. So if you're with them, then it's always about having shows, having exhibitions. there might not be much other than that. They might assist you in your own creative journey, but then it's mostly about commercial, how to get your work sold. And then there is also these, say, non-profit or more local art community that is quite big in Hong Kong. I think Cleo is more into that. She is quite active in the local art communities. So they would organize events to gather, so the artists can chat and exchange inspirations or ideas, which is very interesting. I also went to some of the events where different artists from different fields would eat together and just chat.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. And then some might also lead to future collaborations and exhibitions.
So is there somebody organizing these dinners?
Yeah. Usually curators. So, but not like museum curators or large gallery curators.
Yeah,
but
like independent.
Mostly, independent curators. So they would want to know more stories of artists.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, although the ceramics community is a little more isolated, I don't know why, but in Hong Kong, or maybe in elsewhere too, the ceramics feels excluded from other art form. So they will have these major art galleries, and then there comes ceramic studios or ceramics artists. So we would also gather as ceramics artists on our own. But it's for
maybe
some
because
reason,
for a very long time ceramics has always been considered just a craft and not really art.
yeah.
And that's of course not the case anymore, but like it has been historically.
Yeah, I mean that's still one of the it still exists, still happen this way, because ceramics art is somehow still considered a little different from contemporary art or other forms of art. I think so. Yeah, we have our own community, our own committees. No, not committees, but like a group, artist groups. Yeah, because the art language is also a little different, I would say. For ceramics people, it's very easy that they will go very technical. They would talk about the firing.
More about the how and not so much the why.
Yeah, that's one. Wow, that's very good conclusion actually, because especially in the local ceramics community, there are people who practice a lot of different firing techniques, or different using different clay, very technical. So they want to understand the process and the technique behind ceramics a lot, without asking why are we doing this. So it's a rather different approach. And I mean, the artists who were featured this time in the show, in the non-solo,
the other episodes that I'm gonna publish from Hong Kong.
Yes, I would say we are more in between the ceramics community. We are still very close to our ceramics seniors, the people who have worked in the field for a very long time, very experienced. But then we are also more exposed to the other local art space or contemporary art space. So I would say we lie in between.
What's your process like? Do you have a certain way that you do your work, or does it depend on the project rather?
So first, it depends on the project, whether there's a specific theme for the project. Say I have just worked for a show that is, we have to respond to an ink artist's work. So it's about responding to ink paintings with ceramics. So it has to, you have to kind of think about what you have to do. So you're not creating an ink painting with ceramics. That's very
Literal.
too literal, too direct. But then you have to think about what's the relationship. So if we're talking about brush strokes, then I have to think about what the stroke of ceramics is, or my 3D printing. Is it about the printing lines, or is it about texture that it creates? So I used the shadow and the some dents that 3D printing can create as my way to depict mountains. So sometimes there is a limited topic that you can work with. So you have to think about that first. If it's more free, then I would think about continuing my own research or my own study on the forms, because now I want to go more and more detailed. So it would be to find something. How do I say it? So to continue my journey from last time, say.
Yeah.
And then I would look for new inspirations in the nature, because now it's been more and more of my inspiration. Before it was everything. It could be something I noticed on the streets. It could be some movements, the curves. It could be curves of the movements of things. And then now it's more about nature. Some patterns that you can find in the nature, structures that you can find in the nature, and then I would try to print them out with ceramics as my way of sketching. So the way I sketch is in computer. I would do different drawings, and then I would print them out to see how they look like in real life with the printing going on. And then I would always notice something interesting in it. So say you're printing a mesh,
Yeah.
and some part would actually collapse, because in the computer you would have a perfect preview of perfect layers.
Yeah.
But then in the actual printing, some bit will actually collapse, and that caused a very interesting visual. Then I would dig deeper into that. Say I can increase the speed. It's still very technical. I would increase the speed or slow down the speed to see whether these lines are happening. So it's like doing experiments. It's about a lot of small experiments until I find an interesting visual, interesting effect. Then I would enhance it and create a larger piece with it.
Would you ever do something with your hands on the piece once it's printed? Like, would you manipulate it?
I tried many times. I am always tempted to do that. I tried so many times. I tried to even join pieces together or throw it or put it onto a potter's wheel and then keep throwing it. It never really get to a point where I feel satisfied.
Right.
So there are boxes and boxes of experiments that was never shown to the public, because I never feel that they were finished.
So you keep the unsuccessful attempts?
Yeah, 1 to 2 pieces. So, I mean, I revisit these experiments from time to time, and they would sometimes inspire me. And I would then also be able to connect these older pieces with some of my latest pieces, and I would think to myself, oh, I actually thought of this before. So this form or this object must be important to me without me knowing.
So your boxes are your sketchbooks?
Yes, I would say so. I don't really do sketches in a sketchbook. I try that, it doesn't really work, but then I do a lot of sketch in my computer. So I would then, print them out, and then I keep the small test piece, and they would stay in the boxes for a couple of years, and then I would, use them into my future works.
From what I saw on your website, your work is mostly not glazed, generally.
Yeah, that's true. So you're asking for the reason behind?
Yeah.
I mostly leave the works untouched. So I would not smooth the surface. I would keep the texture as is, because I think it's a way that to maintain the machine touch to it. Because say there is an air bubble trapped in the clay tube, and then it would show on the surface.
Yeah.
And then if I keep it, when you look at the object, you can actually read how it was being printed. You can actually read from the first layer to the second layer to the very end, that how this piece was printed. It's a little like the finger marks on a throne pot. It also showed you how the potter was working with the wheel. I think it's a pretty similar visual, although some might argue that these are flaws. But at the moment, I just want to keep these. And then I also leave them unglazed because then these textures are more shown properly. Yeah, because the glaze, if you're using it just as a cover, then it might blur out some of the lines, right?
Yeah,
Some of the
which is what happened with my pieces.
Yes.
I was asking for them to be glazed because I thought that it would preserve the work from getting dirty or something.
Yes, that's also true. But then it also
lose the detail.
hide some of the details. But
yeah.
it's said that we couldn't do more tests together.
Yeah. Well, you
But
never
it's
know.
the first time.
It was definitely my first time with
Yeah.
3D printed ceramics, so
Yeah.
it was still a valuable experience. And very much thank you for having the patience to do all the tests that you did.
No, it's all good. It's also interesting to see because it's the largest wall piece that I've printed on this printer. Usually I print how do I say? So this piece is it's flatter, right? So
Yeah.
there are more things to put into consideration, whether there are supports or how do you keep it flat.
Yeah.
But then to see it printing, it's really amazing. It's really cool to see all the textures on the doors or above the doors.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it too.
So yeah, my prints were from 3D scans, and yours are something that you built yourself.
Yeah, mostly.
What do you use?
So I mostly use Fusion and Blender for my 3D modeling part. And still recently, while working with the corals, I was using a 3D scanner to scan the geometry of it so that I could build pieces around it that fits perfectly. Still, you have to take the shrinkage of ceramics into consideration.
Yeah, that's a little mathematical there.
Yeah. I'm only sometimes using found objects, and they're mostly, otherwise it's mostly geometrical forms or fractals. So it's, about coding and building repetitive patterns in the computer. And sometimes, it's mostly very geometrical.
How about, I'm usually asking people about their online presence, like do you pay attention to that and how it works for your practice?
To my own
online presence, like you do have a website. Are you active on social media? And,
Okay. Wow.
Is there work coming from somebody who finds you online? How important is that part?
Well, I would say I do notice that it's very important to be online presence. It's very important to run your social media. That's what I found, because it would allow more people to see your work. You would get more exposure. Okay, it's not good to talk bad about people, but I mean, if you can run your social media well, then it could boost your creative journey too. It could help a lot.
That's not bad, talking bad about people.
Yeah, because I want to say, I'd rather not say bad things about people.
Sure.
Yeah, so yeah, it will assist you in many ways in your creative journey. For myself, although I fully acknowledge the importance of it, I am not that good at running a social media. I am too busy to even take good pictures of the works. So only for my collaborative work, we take good pictures of it. And otherwise, it's usually just very rough pictures, which I know isn't good. And so on this very passive approach on running my social media accounts, I get adequate, moderate amount of interaction with people. And so for the commission projects, yeah, people actually know me from my social media, and they would ask me whether I'm interested in certain projects, whether I'm capable of doing other 3D printings as well, because they know me from my social media that I can do 3D printing with ceramics. And so also, I mean, interviews, there were some media exposure throughout these years. Those were important too, because for an artist, or if you're chasing an artistic journey, it's really important to let people see you. It's very important to not only work in your own studio, but instead you have to let the world see your works. It's important. So I basically take every chance that I can, every exhibitions, whenever people invite, yeah, I'm going. Yes, I can go. Unless I'm like super occupied at that period. Otherwise, I would take every chance, and I would work really hard on each exhibition to really let people see my progress. Yeah, but of course, if I can work better on social media, I believe that there will be more chances. But I prefer to just let it go slowly at my own pace, I would say.
I mean, it takes a lot of energy to maintain it, and some people do that as their job.
Yeah.
It's only that thing, because it also takes a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to say the majority of people I've spoken with are a bit reluctant to. I mean, they don't like to put much effort in it. It's just tedious thing that. I think most people realize that it's better if you do it, but it's of course like this. Oh.
Yeah, it's always not easy to do. It requires a lot of self-discipline, because it's not something that you are required to do. It's not something you feel critical to do. You can still live without it, but if you do it well, there will be much more chances. Because, I mean, if you're working in your studio and maybe go to some exhibitions, how are other people gonna find you? It's hard, right? So you have to really push and try to gain more exposure if you want to grow. I feel that, but still, not everyone need that. If you're super talented, if you are a star, then basically you cannot hide your shine. You cannot hide your talent, right? Because people will notice you, and you will still get famous. And still.
So you think that the star is just born?
Yeah, for some people, yeah, it's rare, but they exist. So they could neglect social media and still work, but still, I would say public. So from social media, you gain exposure to the public, but then there's also another group of, say, customers, collectors. They don't collect artworks on social media. They collect artworks in galleries. So if you can do well in galleries, then still you can manage.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree that the star is just born. I think that it's made with time, but maybe it depends. Who knows?
What I was saying is not like You don't have to do anything, but more like you don't really have to rely on social media. But then you slowly progress, you work very hard on your art, and eventually you will be noticed because that's if you're really talented, then gallery will notice you, they will find you either way. So yeah. But of course social media increased the chance because even gallery owners they would use social media, right? Or collectors, some of them still use social media. So it just increase your chance.
Do you go to exhibitions?
Yeah, I go to different exhibitions. Ceramics one, I will go because I want to see what others are doing. And then I would go to big exhibitions. I would say my priority is local ceramics exhibitions, and then local exhibitions, and then big exhibitions, say in M Plus or Tycoon. I feel that although those are great artworks, but they are on a different level. And also they can be seen in different places. But for local artworks, you might find hidden gems in it. I think recent years, people have been introducing more and more ways to connect galleries. So there's this leaflet, or there's this community that shows every single gallery in Hong Kong.
Like an art map type of thing.
Yes, art map. So with that, it could be easier to navigate. But still, you would miss things. But even if you miss the opening, I would say it's still, you will still catch it anyways, because there are more people who post every opening in the city. There are some people who does that. They work very hard on gathering infos, and they publish it on their social.
There is one such account of Finland that I know about that is posting all the openings, and I'm really grateful because it's just easier to follow.
Yeah, it helps both parties, because for the artists, then they can meet more people in the opening, right?
Yeah.
And for visitors, it's easier to navigate. Yeah. So I mostly don't want to miss any ceramics exhibitions because it's so rare. It's already very rare, especially if it's local. So I tend to attend every of them.
Wow. That's another side job in its own, probably. Even if you say there are not so many.
This is an interesting question, because I mean, before studying art, I would never have thought about that. Going to every exhibition, going to as many exhibitions as possible. It felt like a task. It felt like a burden, right? You're obligated to go to different galleries every week. But then now it feels more like
stroll in the park.
Yeah, well, it feels like you are seeing your fellow artists, what they are doing, or like a regular meeting with different people. So this time I'm presenting my work to you, and next time you are presenting your work. So this feels more like a regular gatherings, especially if you know the people. If you're in town, if you're from the town and you know other people.
What are the sources of inspiration you would have,
So
apart from exhibitions, maybe?
Yeah, as I said, nature. So I go hiking a lot. I go kayak or stand-up paddling quite a lot, and then these visual memories or visual that I collect from the nature influence me a lot. And then there is also research, internet research, or books. I don't read text that much. I'm more of a visual person, so I would memorize some forms that I looked at or some patterns that I liked, and I use them into my creations. Yeah.
You should apply for something in Finland. Nature is a very big topic for Finnish artists.
Okay.
There is a ton of Finnish artists that are
Working with
resolving,
nature.
working with nature.
Is it usually related to ecosystems or?
Sometimes it is, yeah.
Nice. That maybe there will be residencies available.
Yeah, and I guess now in the end, can you share names of artists that you like or follow their work?
Yeah.
So, and that artist that you said you're going to keep his name?
Oh, so early on, I talked about this artist who inspired me to start my whole art journey. Her name is Sarah Zhe. So she's a local Hong Kong ceramics artist who work mostly with applying porcelain slip to old clothes. So she would use old fabrics, old clothes, soak them into ceramic slip, like liquid clay, and then fire them. So the cloth will be fired away, burnt away. All that's left is the ceramics structure of the clothes itself, the skeleton of the clothes itself. So which is very beautiful, and it has this softness in it. Yeah, very gentle work. I will show you later. Yeah, it's too abstract to be explained in words. And then, so she inspired me on my whole ceramics journey, helped me to understand what ceramics material can be, because it's so different from what we see on a bowl, on a cup, which feels very strong and but she's showing the other side of ceramics. And then my tutor, Fiona Wong, she also inspired me a lot throughout my journey. She, so in my first day of uni, she asked, or not asked, she told us to, when we work with ceramics, try not to work with a base. So if you start everything with a base, then your work will always be very strict, very stable, and can only be seen from one side, one perspective. But then if you try to neglect a base when you work without base, then your work can be seen from multiple perspectives, multiple angles. So it allows the audience to engage with your work in a more interesting perspective. So that has inspired me a lot, and also other things that she taught us. Although she doesn't work with 3D ceramics, but her perspective and ideas in ceramics really inspire me. Of course, she is very good with her hands. And then for 3D ceramics, Jonathan Keep is a pioneer in 3D printing with ceramics. He has tried out so many different techniques, transforming a ordinary 3D printer into a ceramics one.
Can that be done?
Yeah.
Whoa.
This one as well. I converted the printer into a ceramics printer.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he is really good. He started everything in 2012, I think. Really early, really pioneer. And he also worked with VR forming. So he used VR to sketch a vase and then print it out. Really inspiring and amazing. So, I mean, there is always about seeing what others have done, and it will inspire you, because you will then see what some further development can be, what other things that you can try based on these things they have tried. So there's always this continuum of knowledge or understanding of the material or the technique itself. So these are some names of artists who have inspired me a lot throughout the journey.
Thank you. Yes, I might reach to you later for how exactly those should be written down.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'll send you.
And thank you so much for this talk.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
It was. I'm just fascinated. Like this, working with technology in some way. especially in a medium like ceramics, which is very old and traditional.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to me.
Yeah, it's very it's something that mesmerized me because you're working with a very old material with a long history, but then you're using the latest technique, the latest technology with it.
Yeah.
So it feels interesting.